Okay. The first episode of TNA is over. I'm going to tell you right now, I've done this 3 times. And I tried to be a little fun with it. And then I started having problems trying to be me. If you got to understand, I know that people who watch my show, people who watch me, hiya, who you watch, is primarily been doing TNA since 2012. I'm one of the rare few that have been doing consistently since 2012. Very few have. And whoever has really always combined it with something else. Like if they were talking about TNA, they would talk about TNA and AEW. TNA with WWE, which would have been SmackDown, Raw, NXT. I've been consistently, as one of the few, been doing it straight. And I don't normally combine it with anything else. So I guess the reason was feeling awkward is because you're not going to like what all the things I'm going to say here. Because I'm telling you right now, if anybody knows me, I am one of the rare that's going to be honest to you. I don't have no political correctness. I'm not trying to kiss no one's ass. I'm just going to be straight with you what you're going to get when you come to the new product or the old product of TNA. Either it's the old style of how it used to be, if it was a 6-sided ring or anything, or is it Impact Wrestling with just some stuff tacked on top of it. I'm going to tell you the truth. Now, if you're going to like it, no. But at least I'm honestly telling you if you have not seen it, or if you have and you got a different opinion, of course you can tell me the differences, what you believe. But as a reviewer, I'm being straight with you. So, the first thing we're going to do, we're talking about what we got when it comes to what we see, what we hear. Now, normally, if we're talking about Impact Wrestling, we would have major issues with how the lighting was, how the audio was, how the camera work was, the all-around production of the company. When it came to hearing the fans or seeing the fans, when it came to looking outside the ring or in the ring, whatever it was, the back segments, it was a major issue because it was hugely sloppy. So sloppy, it looked totally Bush League. No matter how much you love the product, it looked like crap. Now, what do we get here? I do not agree with the theme music at the end of the show. It does suck. I'm telling you right now. And I'm going to tell you that I'm considering making a new intro. Like I said, I'm going to be making a new intro. I just got myself a new PC. It was a mini PC, a mini form UM790 Pro. It's about this size. It's like this. And it's not big. But it does have enough horsepower for me to do most of my work. So I am going to be switching over to that soon. And then I'll see if I can start doing editing on that. Because my older computer, it's an old Dell gaming laptop that if you put it on full performance, it would get so hot, it wouldn't work very well. So I've been working with an old Dell. That was an old, what was it? Dell Inspiron 5585 or 86. I'm still using it right now. I'm still getting the mini form ready. But I will be switching over to the mini form, not the Dell. And I will be doing intros again. At least unless something irks me and I can't do them like I was for the last 2 years. I'm hoping to do that. But what brought me here is the theme song I don't like at the end of the show. It sucks, but I will commend them for using it. The opening of the show has a different feel. We get new graphics. We get good lighting on outside of the ring, lighting inside of the ring. So far, we get decent camera work, unlike what they've been doing before when it was always like this, like WWE. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look at how it used to be months ago. It used to be like this. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. It was just like that. It sucked. They didn't show anything in the ring. They tried to make it so theatrical. It was a mess. That doesn't seem to be a major issue now. What is a major issue was the fans. I want to make it clear. The Las Vegas fans, I'm sure people will say, dude, you can't say these people were not cheering. And you can't say that the arena wasn't full. I'm not telling you that. But the way TNA presented it, it seems so. I'm making it clear. This is not me. I know there were people there, and I know they were cheering. But if you look at one of the images, How dark is it? They're trying to do, again, the style of TNA. Not TNA of old, but like a TNA that wants to look like NXT. Because NXT Black and Gold did that. And it was a gritty and grimy type of show that had a very small audience. You don't do that on your first day to make people at home. Remember, this is not about the ticket sales at Las Vegas at that arena. It is about making people want to watch you on Access TV, on the Fight Network, and now TNA Plus, which is $9.99 a month. You got 3 different ways to watch it. 2 of them are an app, and 1 of them is actual TV, and you make it look too damn dark. I'm saying it. They fucked up there. When it came to showing the presentation of the audience, they needed that. Then the audio. Audio was too low. Again, like they used to do back in Impact Wrestling. The audio would be so low, you didn't even realize they were cheering for them. You would think there was no interest. But so many times on X, Twitter X, you know people said they were cheering their hearts out. They were so loud, but it's not the point. You can say this to me in the comments and I'm going to tell you the same damn thing. It means nothing. We are looking at the show on TV. We're not at the arena. You could have been at the arena, but everyone else, including some of the people who watch this that are from different countries, are not in Las Vegas. We look at what we see and what we hear. And if the audio is low, flat out, at the place they're filming it, what can I tell you? It's stupid. So those are 2 strikes on them. But I will tell you, the camera work was good for all the matches. The lighting for around the ring itself was well done. Graphics for when they did the backstage segments for the vignettes and the vid packs were done very well. So I will tell you, they have done well. The sets is much more refined. It really does look more professional. So they went from Bush League almost having nothing to now putting effort in to really look presentable. So I will commend them. First match. We get 6-way match. It didn't sound like it was meant for the X Division. Wasn't mentioned. Particularly when we saw the Motor City Machine Guns later. Nothing was mentioned about this being an X Division title match. Nothing. We had Jake Something, Speedball Mike Bailey. We got Van Kingo. We got and Dorado Kid, who are representing AAA. Then we got Kushida, who's currently on the main roster. And we got Trey Miguel. All those guys worked that match, and they were busting their ass in that match. Literally. I'm telling you right now. The 2 people that shined the most was Kushida and Jake Something. They're the ones who shined the most. They're the ones who had the most time there and had the most amounts of spots. And I'm going to tell you, it was a very fun match. If you like that fast-paced X Division match, I want to make this clear. Not everyone is interested in the X Division. That's the reason why they had the variation up in most of the show. So that was good. But I'm going to tell you right now, it was so highly fast-paced, which was very good, and what little you could hear of cheers from the audience, because like I said, the audio was not loud enough, no matter what you guys say. Now, no, there's going to be people who say, dude, Twitter showed they were loud. It don't matter. I'm saying it again. You can keep saying it till you're red in the face, and blue in the face, and purple in the face. I'm not against you, but people at home who are paying for the app and watching on Access TV are not going to get that feeling. Not like AEW and WWE. I'm sorry. At least they made sure they were loudly heard. That audio that they have on the mics on the floor could be heard. So you didn't hear it, so it don't mean shit. I'm not being mean to you. I'm just telling the truth. In the end, Jake Something wins. But there's nothing about him getting an X Division title shot. This was just a match. Just a match. And I felt like that was a mistake. Now, was it a great match? Yes, like I said, if you like that type of X Division style, you're going to like it. I did, because I do like the X Division. But when there's nothing connecting it going into weeks or months at a time into the future, it feels like a mistake. Doesn't mean it's a bad mistake. It just feels like a mistake when they're booking going into the future. I'm just saying. Tasha Steelz versus Zaya Brooks' side. Now, I know her dad is a very famous pro wrestler and that she has been working for a while in the Indies, Japan, and probably somewhere in Mexico, and it don't matter. I'm going to make this clear. Right now, she has a clean slate. It makes no difference how great she is on the Indies or in Japan. If she worked Shimmer, if she worked DDT, if she worked AAA, it means, or any British promotions, means nothing. I'm telling you right now, I'm not hating her, but from this moment, it counts on what booking they're going to give her. She did a good match with Tasha Steelz. I was surprised that Tasha was allowed to job here because she just recently came back herself. She's only been there for a couple of weeks, maybe near a month. And I expected her to at least not really need to job so soon. But they chose Brickstone to job for her. I mean, she's been allowed to job for her. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That means they have investment in the new people coming in. And there's no problem with that. I'm fine with it. But I'm kind of surprised they would do that so quickly. And I'm not sure that was the wisest thing to do. Now, we did get a video. We got one video pack and one backstage. The vid pack was for... I gotta say it. Ash of Elegance. Now, I'm sure you can see her in my face. I'm sure I got a picture of her. Dude, I'm not going to tell you Dana Brooke is a beautiful woman. There's no way. I'm going to tell you she's... That is Dana Brooke. That she's always been known to be a very curvy, very cock diesel woman. Let's make it clear. Unlike with some women, she has managed to retain a large chunk of her femininity. She managed to keep a lot of her curves. I'm not saying she isn't cut. She is. We've seen her do Instagram where she's wearing bikinis and she's got abs. We know she has full muscles on her arms, her legs, but she still managed to keep a large chunk of her femininity. I'm trying not to sound like I'm a horny old man, okay? I'm not. But I have to tell you what we got. We got a presentation of a woman who has been known to be a great... I believe she went through fitness and maybe bodybuilding. I can't remember. Maybe cross-training or fitness or bodybuilding to a certain extent. But she managed not to overdo the bodybuilding part of her body or heavy muscles. She stayed pretty standard. But when you look at her, she's all sexuality. That is what we're getting here. We're getting Ash of Elegance, total, complete sexuality. That is what the angle they're going with because of how full-figured. She's got big boobs, a nice butt, pretty face. Admittedly, she's way younger than me, but she kind of has this already. This part right there, you could see it. When you look pictures of her, she looked like she might have cut a lot of water like Jordan Grace did. But something happened where her neck is showing two lines right here. It's not bad, but you can tell that at one point she decided, I want to be a little more fit, but maybe I might have cut the water just a little bit too much. Because she ain't 40 or 50, she's in her 30s. Normally you don't get something like this. Like I'm nearing 53, guys. So I'm getting this. But she's in the maybe mid-30s. Nearing 40, she's not that old. And normally you get this when you change your diet. Like what happened with Natalia. You can see Natalia looks different. She has changed the diet. She started doing fasting. So I'm not saying that, well, Ash is doing that herself. I don't know. We have to address, it's got to be addressed. Because we are looking at a woman that is not one of the greatest wrestlers, but she's always had good presentation. We know that when she was working with Primetime Players, when she did the 24/7, yes. I know. I'm not going to tell you that the 24/7 is making me choke. Maybe I might have thrown up in my mouth a little bit. But you get my point. She was in certain storylines that may have not been great, but she was very consistent with it. She did put in effort to try and make it work. So I do not know how far they're going to go with Ash of Elegance. But they are presenting her as sexuality. I'm sorry, that's the way it's going. A great set of tits, a great ass, beautiful face, but questions how they're going to make her look good when she goes in the ring. Next, let's go to Gail Kim and Gazelle Shaw. Since Gazelle Shaw won at Hard to Kill, she has the X from Ultimate X. She will be next in line for a Jordynne Grace. And she did say something right after Jordynne Grace had her talk with Trinity, which I will go to in a minute. But when Gail Kim came out, she made it very clear. And Gazelle did not even want to have nothing to do with her, but she did have a valid point that Gazelle could not deny. Because she said, look what you did. You didn't even need your Shaw entourage. Because look what you did by yourself. They've been holding you back. And she went like this and walked off. Now, that makes you wonder where they're going to go now when it comes to Savannah Evans and Vidal, who did show up, but I'll talk about him in a minute. But you wonder where they're going to go with Gazelle Shaw this year. Because honestly, at this point, she has been developed very well. Whether you like her as a character or not, as a wrestler, she has been allowed for the last 2.5 years to be quite developed. She's been in some of the not most important feuds, but leading into those important feuds. That's not a spot you normally get, particularly if it's near the end before the main feud that means something, like what happened with Jordynne Grace and Deonna Purrazzo. Or yes, even though you may not like when it came to Tessa Blanchard, also she was set up for that before she left, of course. And Trinity, and a little bit more of that. So you can see that she's reaching a point where they do believe they can invest in her more and the main title scene more often. That's what I believe. Now, Jordynne Grace, the way she talked was respectful. It was respectful. She said she had the most greatest moment of her life now getting the TNA title. She also had the greatest moment of life being with one of the best wrestlers she's ever met. And that's when Trin came in and said, I want to congratulate you. I'm giving you your roses because you deserve it. But now I want to get my title back. So next week, not a week after, not a week after that, not a week after that, next week, I want my rematch. Well, if you guys are wondering if Trin is going to show up at the... You hear me trying to... I don't want to say it. That's why I'm botching it. I don't want to say Royal Rumble, but there's a very strong possibility from the dirt sheets that she may go. There is no way that this is not going to be stated. She may end up at the Royal Rumble. If she's doing this now, unless she does win, and then if I'm right, and I have to say this now because there's no reason to hide it. Look, when it comes to Trin, there's only one or two ways she's going to end her TNA run before going over to WWE, if she is going. Or is she going to AEW? I think, and I say this again, this is just me. Guys, I'm being honest here. I would rather her not go to WWE right now because the company's still in flux, no matter what anyone says. I don't care what JD says. I don't care what Jesse says. I don't care what Just Alex or Solomonster or Off the Rope Joe. I love the Slick Daddy. I don't see him often, but I still love him. He's one of the people that inspired me, along with the British Fist. If you guys don't remember British Fist, like this, if you don't remember the British Fist, you've not been around on YouTube for quite a while. But I'm telling you, he was one of the people that inspired me to not be so afraid to try. I've always said the reason I came on this platform because of having a lot of anxiety, stress, and hypertension because of it. Ever since I've done it, it helped me to be more of an open person because I'm a very shy person naturally. I can talk to a person, one or two people. In groups, I get very nervous. I get freaked. I don't do very good in very large numbers of people. I actually get very nervous and I try to avoid them. But it's helped me to learn how to be more of an open person, to talk with people, to debate with people, to believe that I can be a little bit more. I'm not like here, but at least I went from here to here. That's something not everyone can do. And I learned that. But taking away from even the Slick Daddy, I am telling you right now, the company just got bought how many months ago? And I'm telling you, it's not even a year. And if she goes back before that year is up, you have no idea what type of trouble she's going to be in. I say it again. This is not Vince. This is not Triple H. This is Ari Emanuel, who owns the company now. His daughter is part of creative. So if he says to Triple H, dude, I want this. He says, well, this is going to mess up the storyline. He says, I want this. Okay. That's Triple H. I'm just saying. But we will see it next week. Moving on. Now, let's get to Vidal. Vidal comes out. He wanted to say last year, pretty much around this time last year, or a little bit more than last year, he appeared in Impact Wrestling. That this place was the debut for him. Leaving what was Border City Wrestling, I believe that was the name of it. I could be wrong. I don't remember the company he was working with in Las Vegas before he decided to sign with TNA. Do not remember. But this is where he started. And he said he was happy. He's not even here no more because this place is a dump. Everybody didn't like it. He said, what? You're not gonna, you can't do nothing to me. Nobody can do anything to me. And then he should be in my face. PCO comes out again, if I'm right. They still have those 6 guys bringing him out on a gurney, using probably a car battery under the gurney or whatever. It might have been a table or gurney, and pretty much using a car battery, making the spark so people on the stage and from the camera could see him being brought back to life. And he sits up. They put the basically the hookups away, and then he goes into the ring. And it wasn't even a match. He just annihilated him. That was it. That's what that was about. It was not about Vidal getting over. This is about PCO just going bam, splat. Fine with it. Now, let's get to Grizzled Young Veterans versus... this was interesting. They decided to continually team up Kaz, Frankie Kazarian, with Eric Young, which I didn't really have a problem with it. I still loved it. Between Kaz's music and Eric Young, I like Eric Young's song way better. Other than Dark Country, I'm going to be honest. The few songs I love from Impact Wrestling is Speedball, Mike Bailey's music. Yes, that one I like. You got Dark Country that AJ Styles once used when he was dealing with Aces and Eights. And this one, which is Eric Young's song. I really do like it. Now, Trinity's song I still love as well. But that one is a bit above Trinity. But I'm not saying Trinity's song is garbage. I love it. But that one's just a little bit more. Match was good. We got a chance to see the Grizzled Young Veterans not being dyad. And you could feel the difference when you see them go in the ring. It was actually quite good. But then, once they won the match, because of a botch between the two of Frankie and EY, they won. And they said, we're coming for ABC, which is fine. I have no problem with it. There's no problem. But once you see Kaz get into the ring, I had this strange feeling something's about to happen. Something's about to happen. And you could see it in my... did I actually get the shot of them hitting each other? I'll just show the shot I have of them both together. But I can tell you this. When it comes down to it, I knew there was something might happen. But I didn't know. I thought it might have been Eric Young that might have turned on Frankie Kazarian. But no, Frankie Kazarian turned on Eric Young. And I'm going like, okay, finally did something different. We got a turn by Frankie Kazarian, who makes the most sense. Because if you've seen his story for the last year, he's been trying to prove that he is important to this company, that he could be champion because he's never been champion. You see me botching. I think the reason I'm botching is because when I think of Frankie, I do see him as a champion. And he should be one, but they have not pulled that trigger on him yet. So when you see this, it makes sense. He's been trying to go up, down, up, down. He couldn't be Josh Alexander. Then he had a story with, which I think he may join the system. I'm saying it now. I think Frankie Kazarian may join the system with Eddie Edwards, Alicia Edwards, Brian Myers, and Moose, and I'll talk about them in a minute. But that's what I think will happen. He's just pissed because he just can't get anywhere. So he will be a candidate to join the system, and might as well do it now. You see them on the Las Vegas Strip. Moose smoking a cigar. You see Alicia Edwards drinking. And you see them sitting at a diner. It looked like a diner, not a fancy restaurant, a diner. It was a diner, please. You see it in my face. Do you see it in my face right now? It's a diner. It is a diner. It's a diner. So when you see them, and they're talking about what's about to happen for this year for the system, I can buy it. Everybody there had one point or another had a moment, but then they never really got far enough. They always tried, like when it came for Honor No More, when it came to Eddie Edwards and Alicia, when it came to Moose being the wrestling god, along with Brian Myers, who's the greatest professional wrestler. It only went so far, particularly with the, what were they calling each other? I forgot what they called them. When it was with Matt Cardona and Brian Myers. What did they call themselves? The major players. I think that's what they called themselves at one point in Impact Wrestling. They never got any farther than a certain point, and then they plateaued and they just went. Whoop. So now they all came together and they made the system. Trust the system. And you hear Moose say simply, you know what? I am not the 5-star player. I am not the wrestling god. I am just TNA champion. I don't want to be thought of that anymore. This is me. And now they're going there. But I do feel, like I said again, Frankie Kazarian may join them eventually. I could be wrong. You guys send below. Okay. Let's go to Nick Nimitz. He's in my face. Nick Nimitz's segment along with Steve Macklin. Both of them have worked in The Other Place. Let me give it to you like this. Did I enjoy what Nick said? Yes, because he was very valid. And he made it very clear. Everyone was cheering, you still got it. But legitimately, he hasn't been gone for years. He's been gone for a couple of months. He never went out because of injury. I think he got injured maybe once. And near 20 years he's worked. This guy has always been, let's make this clear, and I made videos on Nick Nimitz myself over the last, 12 years since I've been doing, this year will be 12 years I've been doing wrestling reviews, guys. And I'm telling you, I've seen him, and like me, many other people said he should leave WWE because they're not using him correctly. They only used him when they were in trouble. And if you looked at Busted Open Radio, when you had Mark Henry, you had Bully Ray, and you had his best friend, well, one of his best friends, and then Mickey James, they all said he's always been break glass in case of emergency type of wrestler for WWE. When they're in trouble, they stick him somewhere when someone gets hurt or something changes. And he always delivered. There has not been a match that I've ever seen when it came to Nick Nimitz in WWE that he ever did it generally bad. It usually would be his partner that would be botching their asses off. Generally, he always covered for them and made them look like $1 million. He reminds me of a Ric Flair. Yes. He reminds me of Ric Flair more than Charlotte Flair reminds me of her dad. You know what I mean. But you get my point. And he made it clear, I never lost it. He made it clear also that I was in another place. I had done everything I could to make that place mean something. But now, as a gift, I'm gone. And now I'm here, and I'm scared. And that was a little bit of honesty. He even said it in Busted Open Radio, that he's nervous. He wonders if he can even do it. If anybody even care about him. And next what happened in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and when he showed up at Hard to Kill, people are interested in him. And that's where the major flaw of this episode was when it came to the audio. Because I know there was a few more people that were cheering instead of go, ah! Are you honestly telling me that there wasn't enough people there to make it sound important? This is one of the reasons why I say presentation is important. When it's visual, it's reality. What you see is reality. And if TNA doesn't get their heads together and understand, even if it's only for a few months, bring the lights up if the place is packed, that people at home see the arena with everyone there, and put more damn mics on the floor and crank them up a little bit so people can be heard. If you don't do that, people at home will not know that your product means something, that it's fun. Because if I'm right, for most part, it will get a bump in the ratings, at least maybe up to 120,000 easily. Or maybe 140. I don't know if they'll crack 200, but you never know. But one of the things that's going to bring it down is the audio and the presentation of the people in the stands. I'm sorry. But he made it very clear what he said. I'm here because I want to be TNA champion. I want to challenge myself. I want to be in a new place and make it mean something. That's when Macklin comes out. And Macklin shuts him down and says, you had your moment to talk? You're done. I'm speaking. Me and you, we've been the same. And I've known you for a long time. You and I are the same. We were let go. He didn't say directly, but we were let go from our previous place. But we know we can do something. We know when we come to a place, we can make it mean something. I came here 2 years ago and I'm making this place mean something. But when it comes to you, you're a fraud. And he wants to say something. He's being cut off, shut down. He says, I'm not done. When you were over there in the other place, you said you're going to make this place mean something. You're going to give it everything. But here, no. You are literally going to make it take stuff from it. Because this is not about you staying here. This is about you trying to take whatever you can and then going somewhere else. Where technically, he is right. Unless he signs a multi-year contract. I'm being honest here. Unless Nick Nimitz signs a multi-year contract with TNA, he's not lying. And no one's going to be mad at him, but he does make it honest. And it does kind of rub some people the wrong way because he's using this to springboard himself. He's going to stay for TNA only a certain amount of time and then he's gone. That's one of the major flaws of TNA. I don't think they've changed yet, that they do maybe a 6 or 8 month contract with some people. They don't sign them for multi-years like a Moose. He's going to probably stay for maybe near a year and then he's out. And that's going to piss off a couple of people who think he should stay there. And then what made it real, this is what made it real. He said, you think you're so great, you're not. Because when it comes down to it, because I'm still going to be here. They're not going to say, well, they are going to say for me that I'm still here and I'm great. But they're going to say, for you, what happened to Dolph Ziggler? It is extremely rare, and I'm saying it right now, it's extremely rare that a company would go there with an actual name that you use in a previous company, unless you're carrying it with you, like an AJ Styles, like a Samoa Joe, like a Christian Cage, or Christian in WWE. It's incredibly rare that in a story, they would use your original name from the other company you were from, and being a rival company at that, you don't normally use that name. And in this situation, they went there. And I like that realism because it was real. He was Dolph Ziggler, and they're going to say, so what happened to Dolph Ziggler? There's some people who don't even give a damn about Dolph, like the Slug Daddy thinks he's nothing but a piece of shit. And I can understand the Slug Daddy because of how much they used him when he was there, and unlike the Slug Daddy, I do see what he gave to the company. Whenever they needed him to do a big spot, they stuck him in there. Kind of like Jeff Jarrett. Not saying Jeff is as good as Dolph Ziggler, or in this case, Nick Nimitz as a wrestler, because if we're talking about who's a better wrestler between the two, Nick Nimitz and a Jeff Jarrett, it is like this. There is no way, even in his heyday, Double J was ever as good as a Nick Nimitz, Dolph Ziggler. He just wasn't. But you can understand why the Slug Daddy just doesn't like him. I understand. He was overused a lot when they were in trouble. Not they overused him because they put him in the main event. They never did. Very rarely. So when you get this realism in this segment and you see him annihilate a Steve Macklin who legitimately he already probably knows. He may not be best friends with him, but at least he knows him. You get your first feud. And I'm fine with it. It was not bad. I'm perfectly okay with it. Let's move on. Let me give you like this. I can't really say how I feel about Okada working with the Guns. Maybe good, maybe not, because we're having a 6-man tag soon. I think next week or week after. I can't tell you it's great because Okada and many other Japanese wrestlers don't stay very long. Kushida is the only one right now that's staying there other than Yuri Uemura. He was there for over a year. And he stayed there for a while and he's gone. He was never comfortable about how they did the storylines, which Joya was getting over. But he wasn't comfortable about it. Joya! I can understand, as a Japanese wrestler, they don't do, like, comedic stuff. They don't. But it was beginning to get over. But with Kushida, I'm not saying they're going to go there with him when it comes to the Motor City Machine Guns. But at least he's there constantly. When it comes to Okada, I don't know if he's going to stay. If he's going to sign with TNA, that would be something a bit different. But it counts on if he would sign, which I don't think he would. It's just a six-man match. I'm just saying. Now, last match, which was not only the best match, it was a rematch. We got the 4th match for TNA of Will Ospreay. He went up against Speedball Mike Bailey. Great match, whooped his ass. Went up against Eddie Edwards. A New Japan Pro Wrestling guy versus a Pro Wrestling Noah guy. Whooped his ass. And it was a good match too. And then you got Josh Alexander. The best match out of the 3. But he got his ass whooped. And when it came to Will Ospreay, he made it very clear how important TNA was. How much he said, no matter if I'm here or not, I will always love this company. And I am a TNA kid. So when you see this match, because he didn't need to do this match. I'm telling you right now, New Japan Pro Wrestling was not probably telling him to do this. He probably requested this because of the way that match went. Because both of them went all out. And that worried me because of how he's going to respond when he reaches AEW in February, because he took some hard bumps in this match. Guys, he literally was outside the ring, past the ropes, and Josh, who likes to do a side dive to someone's back, which I've never been agreeing with, because he hurt Muhammad Ali Shira with that move. He hurt him. But here, he literally dives at him, knocks him and flips him over, and I think he might even bumped his head on the floor almost. The way he landed, it was that dangerous. That was not a wisest thing to do that Will Ospreay did, but he did it because he wanted to give this company something. They did a table spot where I think Will might have really hurt his tailbone. Hopefully he didn't get hurt badly, because something went wrong with that. Because he literally was grabbing his back so hard. And then you see the doc and the ref was checking him, because they were not checking Josh. I mean, they checked to see if it was all right generally, but they went straight to Will. They went straight to Will to really make sure that, oh shit, did he actually get hurt? And we're going to have problems with AEW because of what we just did here. Because that's what happened. And that they said it was all right. Will seemed to be fine, and they continued the match. And it was a damn good match. In the end, we now got a tie between Will Ospreay and Josh Alexander. And then we got Scott D'Amore coming out. And he made it very clear. I love this company. He brought up a little bit of his own life where at 4 years old, in his father's hospital room near his death, he watched wrestling. And he spoke about what happened with WCW, thinking he was done, was brought in by Jeff Jarrett, and after he was gone, he comes back, and how messed up the company was. He makes it very clear what happened. And clearly, he was very emotional about it, which helped the match after it was over. And I'm going to tell you, did it bring an emotional response? Yes, because he was being honest. Now, not everyone's going to feel it. They're going to say it was too damn corny. He was overacting. There's going to be some people may say that. But you can tell he was being honest for the most part of how he felt about TNA. Look, I'm saying this, I'm going outside wrestling. When it comes to Scott D'Amore and who he's having a relationship with, whether you like it or not, he's in a relationship with somebody who is a wrestler that he's in love with and that he has a life with. And not everyone gets the opportunity. Like what happened with Mickie James and the former, should I use Nick Aldis or should I use, no, I'm going to use Nick Aldis. I was going to use the original name for Nick Aldis that was in TNA, but I'm going to leave it. But you get my point. Not everyone finds the love of their life when they wrestle in the same company. They just usually don't. And supposedly he did. So for him, it's a little more emotional than what you would expect. Now, was this a good episode? Yes, but it's got flaws. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to hear it from me or not, because I know in the comments people say this was an amazing show. Most people will not admit that there were flaws in it, or most will not realize there were flaws in it. But as a wrestling reviewer, I have to tell you the truth. You had bad lighting when it came to the fans. You had bad audio when it came to the fans. I do not agree with the first match because it did not lead to a possible X Division title shot. It meant nothing. It was just a match. And I think that was a missed opportunity. It was a mistake. But throughout most of the show, the matches were good. You can see what was going on in the ring. There was enough lighting in the ring, and the camera work was good. The sets looked good. The graphics for when they did the transitions, for when they talked to the interviews in the back, when you saw any type of advertisement, because I got to say this. I did check. I found a way to be able to check both Access TV and the Fight Net. I had Fight, but I checked alternatives to see about like Access TV, because there's always places you can look at Access TV. You can find them. But when you see how they left an advertisement for the next week, the way they made it, not just with the graphic, but how the narrator talked, how they set it up, way better than they normally do. Way better. So I will tell you, was the show good? Yes. Was the presentation much better than Impact Wrestling of old? Yes. But do we know it's going to be consistent? Not yet. Having one good episode does not mean you come back and you come back way better. I have to be honest, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to keep checking to see if the presentation keeps up. Will they keep the camera work consistent from week to week? Will they keep the audio consistent in the back when the interviews are going on? When it comes to the ring, when you can hear the fans, when you can see the fans, because if they don't show the fans and they don't let people hear the fans, then they have failed again. Because if they don't understand, people at home need to see people at the arena, so they'll be invested. You're never going to grow. You need to expand and understand the problem. But that's just me. Peace.